It's about that time to grab your favorite snack and sit back and relax, because you are now listening to the MovieTime podcast with your hosts, LOWKEY Geek Renee Zalata and Blake the Wolf. Take it away, boys.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's a brand new week. It is a brand new episode of Movie Time. What's up? How were all of your Thanksgivings? We are recording this on Black Friday itself, the day after Thanksgiving, and I'm still recuperating from all the freaking food I ate yesterday in my coma that pretty much had me shut down after 9 p.m. Blake, I don't know how you felt yesterday, but it is nice to kind of spend, I guess Black Friday is like an unofficial holiday extension to the Thanksgiving holiday, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully you had a great morning so far, and now you're spending some time with me. And of course, spending time with you is always a grand experience, and I enjoy it every time, especially when we get to talk about movies. But how was your holiday?
Got a little time off work. There's Black Friday deals with HBO and Hulu, so I'm re-upping on getting my own accounts for those, which is nice.
Nice.
Instead of some under the table deals and password sharing. Shh, don't tell anyone.
We don't mention that here.
Went to the movies 4 times. I always think of Thanksgiving as a movie holiday. I don't know if it is for everyone, but growing up, it was always the family would go to the theater.
Yeah.
You're either watching the football game or you're in the movie crowd, or maybe some both.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday I did a little bit of both. I watched the Dolly Parton halftime show during the Cowboys Thanksgiving game.
Wait, she had a halftime show yesterday?
There were 3 different halftime shows. They are doing halftime shows for Thanksgiving games and have been, but now it's becoming some next level. So Dolly Parton did 2 Dolly songs and then 2 Queens covers of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. It was great. It was so weird. It's just the most America moment ever, where we just took something from the British and then made it very, very football Americana. And then I went to go see Boy and the Heron, which we'll talk about today, because I'd already seen Napoleon, and I've now seen Saltburn 3 times in the 1 week it's been out. Can't get enough. Gonna probably see it a couple more. So
unbelievable.
Can't get enough. Yeah.
That is, as the Pet Shop Boys would say, just can't get enough. That is Blake right there. That's fascinating. For me growing up, Thanksgiving was very much a movie, like a movie outgoing, like a movie outing day, because usually during the day it would be family time, and then my friends will meet up afterwards, and then we all go watch movies afterwards. Or sometimes if family were interested in watching movies, we would do that too. The one thing I noticed that was different this year, because most movie theaters usually don't open until later in the day, they were acting as if it was a normal weekend, where I saw showings starting at 11 a.m. on
I feel like that's normal, but I could be wrong. I always think of it, and again, could be wrong. I always thought of it as the same exact thing, because like some families are doing different times and before, but it is kind of, and also I don't know, because I'm thinking of that as more of a where I'm from, Oklahoma tradition. But in New York City, like my family's not here. I didn't really do any big Thanksgiving meal. So an 11 a.m. movie, you're off work. That's the other thing I noticed, is that the Wednesday night screenings, they were also treating it like a Friday, Saturday. There'd be at 11:30 p.m. Yep. People don't have work the next day.
Yep.
And that's kind of, and then the movies that are dropping on the Wednesday of Thanksgiving are dropping on the Tuesday night before at a normal time. Because it used to be the midnight deal, and then you'd wake up late with, no school the next day. Now it's just like, see it at 7 p.m. the night before.
Yep. Yeah, that's when I saw Napoleon. I saw it on Tuesday, like afternoon, when they were treating it like a Thursday, like a normal week, which is so funny. But it was also interesting to see how many people were actually there that afternoon. And I guess schools are off early. People are just enjoying the advanced days. Because, here in New York, a lot of people usually tend to take off. They drive somewhere else, they travel, which is another great thing about having, staying here in New York during the holidays, because the city's pretty much empty.
It's more empty for sure. You got the Thanksgiving parade vibe, but that's kind of like, it's either you're there or the streets are empty, or like the movie theater, right? That is just nothing else to do. So I think of this and then the other holiday break is like good movie season.
Oh,
Because there's
absolutely.
movies that are dropping for it. And the theaters, but they're never, at least from my experience, they're never so full that you can't get in, kind of thing. Like,
It's
and
rare.
especially
It's rare.
nowadays,
Yeah.
where they're spreading out the release dates.
Mhm.
So if something drops on a Tuesday, it's not the Friday night, it's opening night of the new Avengers movie or whatever.
Right.
Which those aren't even filling up. My goodness.
not
So you just
anymore.
spread the love out, spread it over multiple days. They go, we don't care about setting the 1-day record. We just want to get as many dollars as possible, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I in a way I kind of miss those days, like when you had like the major blockbuster opening.
12:01 a.m.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, Phantom Menace, or any of the Harry Potter movies. Like those were like, because they usually came out during Christmas season, and those would be like the hot ticket. Or when Marvel was at its peak, that was like the event of the holidays, was to go out and watch that, or like you said, a Star Wars movie or whatever. We don't really have that right now. So like we will have so many different options, but not one movie to rule them all. It doesn't seem like that happens that often anymore.
We have, it's a family heirloom now, but my brother and I were going to Phantom Menace 12:01, and it was one of those, I'm trying to remember now, actually, if it was the third one, and it was 24 screens in our AMC, and all 24 were completely sold out with Star Wars people. It was bonkers.
Insane. Yeah.
At 12:01 a.m. And there'd be like a 12:15 showing, a 12:30 showing, but they just did it as packed. And so you're going through, it's like costumes, like Comic-Con or something, but only for one movie. But there was a sign outside that was like, line up here for 12:01 showing. And you literally have like outside the mall, like people wrapping around the entire mall. So we stole that sign that was in the ground, we ripped it out because we were so excited and high off of the Star Wars energy. And that just stayed in our garage for a long time. We're like, it's 3 a.m. They haven't come to get this sign yet. Let's take it. They don't need it. We'll help them out. They're probably walking around looking for the sign for hours.
Like, where did that
Boss
sign
said can't go home until we get all 5 signs.
It's like how they
do in our garage forever. Yeah.
It's like how they do like the concession inventory. Like they have to account for every popcorn bag. They have to account for every side. It's like, oh no, we're gonna lose some money. They're gonna dox.
You're not gonna
our
reuse
salary.
that sign. They don't know that 20 years later there will be another iteration of Star Wars.
Right. Oh my gosh, yeah. Those were the memories. Those were the days for sure. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get back there. Honestly, I think if Taylor Swift released her concert tour on Christmas Day, I think that would have caused a crazy Barbenheimer type of event level thing.
Because Barbie was the closest we got to that, where there was a bunch of screens, a bunch of showtimes, and then the Oppenheimer aspect. And people, you would, the main difference to me is like when Harry Potter would drop, there would be the scarves and the little lightning bolt and costumes of different types of fake beard. And that was the closest we've had to that in forever, was Barbenheimer. And just a sea of pink. And you go like, oh, right, this is an event moment. The event release, and especially at the same time or the same day, that's rare now, which I actually don't mind because it was inconvenient. There'd be times where you're trying to get the friend group together. Someone's like, I have a test tomorrow. I can't go to a 12:01 Thursday movie. I have a life. Or then folks become adults and get jobs like, no, I have to wake up at 6 a.m. for work. Right. You want me to get 3 hours of sleep? I'm going to sleep in the mall parking lot? No. So I actually kind of like the way it is now, but you do miss that monoculture that we used to have.
Yeah. That feverish, like, have to go watch it kind of, like, I guess FOMO played into a lot of it too, where it's like, I gotta watch it now.
Or at the water cooler tomorrow, I might hear a spoiler.
Yeah. Well, now it's like everything just gets spoiled online, so it's like it doesn't even matter when you see it or whatever the case is. But two movies that probably were spoiled or not spoiled for you that we're going to be talking about today is The Boy and the Heron and Napoleon, the latest from Ridley Scott. Basically sitting down and saying, F you, history. I'm going to do this on my own. So we're excited to be talking about those two movies. So, yeah, let's dive into... I'm very, very curious and interested in talking about The Boy and the Heron with you because, as we've already mentioned multiple times on this show, and if you are someone who has been following us for some bit of time, you do know by now that Blake is not a big animation guy. It's just not something he's into. On occasion or during Oscar season, that's usually when he will catch up on a lot of animated movies and all that. Now, when it comes to Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki, who is now we're talking about the epitome of legendary animators and storytellers in animation. Obviously, this was like a kind of a must-see movie, not only for myself, but Blake felt the same way too.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I had a chance, again, humble brag, I had a chance to see this at New York Film Festival, which was definitely one of the highlights of the festival for me. Uh, but Blake, going, and one thing I should also mention too is that when this movie originally came out in Japan, they did no marketing for this movie. They released no trailers, no stills. They released like one or two concept art pieces and the logo of the movie or whatever, the title card, right? So Japanese audiences went into the opening of this movie without knowing anything about the story or how the movie looks or anything like that.
Wow.
And obviously it didn't
recognition
hurt
only.
Yeah, it didn't hurt the performance one bit because people knew Miyazaki's back after a 10-year hiatus, pretty much coming out of retirement to tell this story, and people were falling head over heels for it in Japan. So what I did personally is like I did the same thing. I treated myself just like if I was in Japan. I watched no trailers. I didn't look at any pictures. I didn't read up anything about it. And then when I finally got to the screening at New York Film Festival, I saw one image of it that I was like, damn it, I'm seeing an image now, but it's okay. But I saw it fresh and I was pretty much blown away. But for you, Blake, I'm curious, did you watch a trailer? Did you read up a little bit about it before going into it? And what is your history with Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli going into this too?
So I'm not necessarily a hater when it comes to animated movies. There's some that I really love.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I want a movie that's less fantasy and more how do I say it? Like relevant to today, more relatable.
Like grounded.
So even period pieces when it's a very different world, I don't like as much. And even when I go to the museum, right? Like the things that are 1,000 years old, I find I prefer things that are closer to my day-to-day reality. And It's not a knock against them. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just that's kind of how I roll with my preference and taste.
Mm-hmm.
So while Studio Ghibli is the gold standard of animated cinema in the last 30 years or so, plus, a lot of the stories are more fantastical.
Yeah.
And so in general, like I'm also, again, not anti-anime. A lot of my best friends love anime. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not really my genre for the most part. Then I'll find an entryway into something and really enjoy it. So like there will be like One Punch Man or Cowboy Bebop will be a show that I really enjoy. But I'm also then my friends go, oh, well, you like that? You should watch this. And I don't like that thing. Or with animated movies, I really like, which I like history and the things that are a little bit more relevant to my reality. So The Wind Rises and From Up on Poppy Hill are my favorite Studio Ghibli movies. And then we kind of go from there. I'd only seen 5 before last night.
Right.
Spoiler alert, I really love Boy and Heron. And so afterward, I went back and watched one that everyone had always recommended, Howl's Moving Castle. Hadn't seen it yet. And was immediately like, oh yeah, this is the part that I don't like as much. I appreciate the artfulness of it. The storytelling is great. It's beautifully made, crafted. And there's just a little too much sorcery. Like, okay, that's not real.
Uh-huh.
And then I just kind of like let go and I just enjoy it, like Saturday morning cartoons in the background kind of thing, and appreciate it in that way, a little more detached. But Boy and Heron, I was fully sucked in, enjoyed it. I'm not done with, I've always intended to go back and watch all the Ghiblis at some point. I'm still doing that. The plan today is to watch another classic I'd missed, Princess Mononoke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of going through the list and be like, okay, I'm probably going to skip. You and I did that before we started recording. Okay, you could probably skip this one. It'll be the one you like the least. Maybe you prioritize that one. So I'm still planning to go through it. That's how much I enjoyed this new movie, even though I'm coming into it from a very different history and perspective as you. Similar to you, I intend, if I know I'm going to see a movie, I avoid information about it and trailers and everything. And that's true in general. Killers of the Flower Moon or Asteroid City, when a trailer would come on, I would like plug my ears and look down, basically. This one I happened to be at a theater the other day and was sitting through the trailer, but I was trying to like not, oh wait, what's gonna happen? And this is such a surreal movie. The trailer it wasn't, there's it's gonna be hard to spoil it anyway. You just see something and go, okay, is that a dream? Is that reality? Is that a metaphor for a dream about reality? Who knows? So I don't feel like it ruined anything, what I did see. I knew dude's coming out of retirement. He's doing the one last ride, and I just knew I was going to see it once I heard that. Because especially if someone gets pulled in and feels compelled to make something, and they're a master or a legend, then I'm going to go see what you have to say.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's great. I'm happy to hear that you love the movie and you enjoyed it too. But it also surprises me that because The Boy and the Heron does have a good amount of surrealism, fantasticalness to it. So when you saw Howl's Moving Castle, I'm surprised that didn't click to you. But I guess it does have more of that compared to this movie.
It's like the difference between like sorcery and surrealism is, I guess, what I would say. When there's witches and it's magic and in real life, but this one is like he goes through a portal, and like Narnia is a story about humans in the real world who go, or like Alice in Wonderland, similar.
Yeah.
It's set in reality, and then they go into a dream world within reality, like Willy Wonka style. Just you go through this gate and things are different here. It's a different rule. That I'm actually much more okay with. It's more like, oh yeah, this is the same real world as 1942, but now there's people who can swat abracadabra and turn you into a frog. And I'm like, that didn't happen. I'm very confident that did not happen. I know that. Whereas if you told me, my friend came in sweating into work and going, dude, I walked through my closet yesterday and there was a totally different world and everything's upside down. I'd be like, show me that closet. I want to go there right now. It's hard to describe the exact distinction, but there's something where like, I'm not trying to say anything's wrong with it again, but for what I like, I just need it to be like more grounded in reality, I guess. And that's going to be a litmus test for how much I'm able to let go and suspension of disbelief and enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's very similar to like whenever we discuss movies that are like fantasy movies and all that. Like I know like those things lose you right away. But going back to this movie, the only reason why I say that surprised me about that, I mean, first of all, Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorite Miyazaki Ghibli movies ever made. And you ask anyone, they all have their own personal favorite. Like, and that's the one thing that's very unique about his stuff and what this studio puts out is because every movie resonates differently with a lot of different people. That's why
if you're watching this right now, comment what your favorite is.
Please do.
I'm actually asking people because I want to know what's recommended to me.
Yeah.
But also I'm curious about that because there's so many and so many classics and so many that people like. Just right now, if you're watching this,
just it's easy to do so. Just type it in. But if you put 10 people in a room and you ask them what their favorite Ghibli Miyazaki movie, I guarantee you're going to get a lot of different responses. Because a lot of people just resonate differently with all of them. But the one thing that I personally really loved about this movie was it felt like a return to form for Miyazaki. The recent movies that he came out with prior to this was The Wind Rises, which I know you said that's like one of your favorites, because it definitely is more grounded in reality with a lot less fantasy in it. Those movies for me personally aren't the ones that I like the most. Up on Poppy Hill, like that is another movie that I thought it was okay, but it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. So I felt like this was during a time when Miyazaki was like kind of on his way out. Like I feel like he's just doing it. He's going with the motions. I am definitely more in tune and more familiar with his more fantastical stuff, which he's very much known for. So for me personally, I felt like this was a return to form for him. I think the 10-year break helped a lot to kind of like get back to what he found passionate about what he does and his way of storytelling. And it is very much like a Alice through the looking glass type of story. It's like, just to briefly say what the movie is about without saying too much. It's definitely one of those movies you need to experience, because we could talk about a lot of different things here, and it may not make sense unless you actually see it, played out in front of you. But you have a family, you have a boy that, unfortunately loses his mom at a big fire from a hospital. And it's basically a boy who is trying to fit in with other parts of his family, a family that he hasn't really been hugely a part of. His dad remarries or finds a new lady to become his wife. And it's about the boy kind of coping with the change and everything. And then that's when he kind of gets introduced to this quote unquote magical portal that kind of introduces him to another connection to his family that he didn't know existed. And it's a little bit more of a fantastical connection and all that stuff like that. And I'm just being very simplistic about my explaining it all. But that's pretty much the gist of it. And you're going through the journey with this boy as he's learning about all of these things and how that other side of the kind of world works and coming back into reality and all that. And of course, it's also like, in a way, a coming of age story too, because like when he's back, he learned a lot of stuff. He knows how to appreciate this and that, and it makes him closer to his family as a whole and all that. But definitely the art style is a nice refresher on how the art of animation is so important, especially when it's still hand drawn, because he still does this hand drawn, which you could tell the difference, with all the Disney stuff we've been getting, the DreamWorks stuff that we've been getting, the Pixar's, you miss the artistry of something that is hand drawn, and it's so nice to kind of see that again. You do get some moments where it's just like, okay, I don't know exactly what's happening here, because he does love throwing a lot of those like crazy out of left field kind of moments. But if you're familiar with his stuff, then you kind of know how to navigate through a lot of those things. What was very interesting about my experience watching it is I can tell I was in a theater that was half Ghibli fans and half maybe not so much so, right? So the reaction towards the end was, I don't want to say mixed, but it was mixed. And I feel like a lot of people were just more like, what did I just watch? Kind of thing like that, And I think when you're in a room filled with press and critics and all that, I think they spend too much time trying to analyze everything while they're watching the movie. I just allowed myself to go along with the ride. You have to. And by doing so, I think I personally appreciated so much more about it. Like before the movie started, they were giving out these like Cliff Note pamphlets that tells you a little bit about the background of the story, tells you the artist involved, the musician who did the soundtrack, who is very popular in Japan, and beautiful soundtrack. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like soundtrack wise, this is something that I would listen to on my Spotify and all that stuff.
Have they been working with Miyazaki for a while? Because when I was watching Howl's, it felt like there were some similarities, but I don't know enough.
I don't think so, if I remember correctly. Okay. I think this is a brand new collaboration, if I remember correctly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, if you're listening or watching to this. But I saw a lot of people reading this, like kind of like religiously, like they're trying to like get in the know of this movie. And those of us who didn't, like, I got the pamphlet and I put it in my bag. I'm like, I'll look at it later.
Sorry, just to clarify, the composer, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Kiki's Delivery Service, Ponyo, Castle in the Sky, Wind Rises, Nausicaa, Porco Rosso,
all of them,
Tales of Princess Kaguya, and The Boy and the Heron, and then a bunch of other movies too. That's just composer. Maybe I'm missing something as composer versus,
or maybe I'm confusing it, because wasn't there like one particular song that was sung by an artist?
At the end of the movie, there's a credits song that is that kind of like looking back and describing what the movie is, kind of.
Okay, maybe that's who I'm thinking about, and that's.
But there's a difference between like the songs, and this is the more like the person doing the score for the movie. It's the person I'm talking about, Sho Hisaishi, and they've done 100 movie scores going back to 1981. It seems like a John Williams kind of situation,
right?
Just like, okay, this is this dude's life. He's a composer, but he's in the movie world hardcore. And I don't know if this is all of Miyazaki's films, but we're going back to.
Everything you mentioned is pretty much his stuff. Yeah.
and then other Ghibli as well. So
Right. So he's like the house band of the Ghibli studio, like that. He's basically like the house composer.
yeah, I'm at least going back to the Miyazaki's in 1984 at least, and there might even be some right before that, but yeah,
Because
just forever. Yeah,
no, that which is great because I think that maybe that's also a reason why it works so well because he knows the tone Miyazaki's always trying to portray. He knows the feeling, the how to evoke that emotion during moments of the movie, and I felt it, and it looks like you felt it too, where it's just like it was so beautifully in tune with what you were watching on the screen.
It's always better when the director and the composer are they have a language that they've worked out together, a lexicon for. And
it's like Nolan and Zimmerman.
They'll have a good one, and then they'll fall out, right? Or they'll change at some point. It's there whenever you have. It's similar to if you have the Robert De Niro and Scorsese kind of relationship.
Right.
That's brilliant. Or if the writer and the director, if they can really keep that going, that chemistry just increases.
Yeah. And the reason why I bring up Nolan and Zimmerman is because I feel like their sync is so solid. And I think one of the reasons, again, Interstellar
just works
so
Robert
well.
Zimmerman, Bob Dylan, but Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, sorry, yes. Yeah.
Just kind of talking shit.
Not Andrew Zimmerman, not we're not talking about Food Network here or anything.
And he steps away from him at some point recently, and there was kind of that question of okay, is it as good? Is this person doing an impersonation of what Hans Zimmer would have done? But yeah, when you've got just a run going, it can be special for sure.
But then he changes it with Oppenheimer, right? Because he teamed up with is it Gorison that he teamed up with for Oppenheimer?
Exactly, yeah. And then I think for Tenet, was it a similar composer? Here we go. Sorry, Göransson did Tenet and Oppenheimer.
Okay, so this was the second collab between the new in sync, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
But yeah, it does work, and again, I think for those people who get too much into the weeds of what he's trying to say or what he's trying to portray, kind of loses the point in a lot of these type of movies. You have to get lost into the fantasy, into the storytelling of it all. But then mind you that separately you can sit down and say, okay, what is he trying to say here? Or what elements of his own life is he trying to put on screen and tell us? Because I do feel like there are a lot of moments here that kind of spoke to himself and his life. You and I were doing some research prior to recording as you were going more deeper into some of the meanings or some of the stories of Miyazaki himself. We learned to find out that his mom was hospitalized for 8 years. That could have played heavily in the part in the whole mother and son storyline that started this movie. He just came out of retirement, and he has his own son that's working in Studio Ghibli as well. There's a moment where the boy comes across kind of this fatherly figure, kind of, how did he describe it in the movie? He was like an architect?
That's the word I used, but I can't quite recall not the creator, but something like that. Yeah.
Something along those lines where he had this kind of creator / architect that was responsible for kind of creation of this family universe or this kind of whatever. And he's looking to pass this on, to kind of move on from his duties and all that. So as someone who just came out of retirement, hoping that maybe his own son can pass the baton to and all that, it's like a reflection of his career, a reflection of his age, his time in this life and all that. It's also funny to note that now that Miyazaki has experience making this movie, he was very quick to say, "Oh, I kind of want to do another one after this." So he's getting that second wind of his career, of his life. That is okay, we see this happen with a lot of people who come out of retirement to do something, and they're like, "Oh, now I remember how this felt like, so I kind of want to do it again before my time is up." Right. So I do feel like we can really look into a lot of the moments that spoke a lot about himself and maybe his reflection on life or reflection of things happening around him. What were some of the things that maybe you picked up from watching this movie?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you have to let it wash over you. When it comes to surrealism, you
Hmm.
can rack your brain and come up with, oh, the uncle is like his dad, but also it's like his mom, and it's also like his ancestors, and it's like God.
Yeah.
And it's there might be some key somewhere, and if you think about it hard enough, you might unlock some puzzle piece. But at the end of the day, it's much more enjoyable, especially on the first watch. If
Yeah.
you let it wash over you and take it in, feel it, and then analyze it maybe on a second, third viewing, read up on it. Someone might crack the code at some point. Oh, they're wearing the same ring and it's actually an older version of him or something, right?
Hmm.
Who knows? But especially on first watch, it's the same when I go to the ballet or modern dance or I'm going to the art museum. A lot of people ruin art because they're just sitting there going like, okay, but what is it? And you're like, just feel it. Just like kind of just
Yeah.
try to like those little images, you would stare at it and let your eyes blur and you would see something underneath. There's something really magical about that sensation when you feel it, and it can affect you in ways subconsciously or under the surface. And I think it's okay to let art meet you halfway, and you can meet it halfway. And wherever those two things connect, that's kind of the whole beauty of it, is it might speak to you in a way that's unique to you, especially with surrealism. That's
Yeah.
one of the I write poetry, and one of the things I really like in surrealist poetry is that 10 different people could have 10 different reactions to it. And if someone lost their grandfather, that character can represent the grandfather, and they might cry because it reminds them of their grandfather. If someone is afraid of the future or their past or any they connection to it, like all of those things are valid,
Hmm.
even if technically your friend might see and go, no, obviously that was this because that was the same name as this character. And like, okay, cool, but you felt it and you had an experience, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So overall, I had a similar experience, letting it wash over me. I think that the themes you already touched on are right there for the taking, and it's a boy kind of confronting reality, confronting loss. Not, it's kind of coming of age in a way,
Yeah.
in a very potent way, where he's interacting with ancestors and trying to just accept fate and asking himself, how much do I accept reality or let it crush me? And how much do I want to write my own future? Or do I want to lay in bed and cry? And there's even the thing where this isn't what the movie is. I don't think Miyazaki necessarily does this, but there's the Alice in Wonderland thing where she wakes up near the end of the movie and it was all a dream, maybe, but then there's something from that world that's in the reality. I always love
They're like
that
snuck
touch.
in and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and some people are annoyed by that. I think it's beautiful when that happens. But he has a head injury and lays down to sleep when things start to get real weird. Once the heron makes itself known and gives him a mission and speaks, his language to him.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think whatever the audience is getting out of it is valid. I don't want to go too deep into this is what this character meant and this is exactly the theme of the movie. But I'm kind of getting two vibes. One is an old man making a movie, looking back at a boy and these two different realities of fate and destiny and generations, and accepting your family and you becoming your own person. Something about that seems at the forefront of what the movie is getting at, even if that's not exactly what's happening on screen at all times. I did enjoy the very bizarre characters. There were some really cute ones. The little ghosty toy, like
Oh,
things,
yeah.
those are going to make good toys. Little ghosty balls. So cute.
Every movie he does, he always has to include these little cutie little like creatures. Those of you who know Spirited Away know those little dust animals.
Yep.
Those of you, I think you're going to be watching Princess Mononoke, right? You're gonna find that there's very similar kind of cutesy little creatures in there.
Love it.
He loves including those kind of things in there.
Like Star Wars now, they have to have the toy requisite thing, but this one seems maybe a little bit more just what he actually wants to do.
Right.
But what was whatever the most recent ones that Chewbacca ate, the little bird guys, and
the little
you get a new
the porgs, yeah, those little those little
little BB-8 action.
birds.
There's always something like that, but in those were the cuties, especially something for the kids.
Yeah.
The parakeets who are human eaters with a giant
oh my
knife
god, those guys are
behind
nuts.
them.
Yeah.
I love that. That got me. But
in
yeah,
a way, I kind of compare them to the guards from Alice in Wonderland, the card guards.
Oh yeah,
They kind of
100%.
very
Yep,
similar, right?
that's
And
what
they're
it
all
was in
different
mind. You're
colors
right.
and all that. Yeah.
I was reminded of something, and that's exactly what it was. Good
Yeah.
call. Um, the there were some characters that I didn't quite understand, or was a little bit like put off by, or like, okay, but what are they representing? And I found myself
Mhm.
asking those questions. I decided to let it go. But that's where the more fantastic things I'm going to find a little bit less enjoyable, probably. And it's hard for me to accept, okay, there's a very German fascisty giant parrot with a cape and boots.
Right.
And okay, what's
Even
their
with the hat,
backstory?
yeah.
Yeah. And then I was asking you before, like, was that a heron, or was it a man in a heron costume, or was it half man, half heron? You said it was a spell, maybe, and like that makes
Yeah.
more sense to me than anything. There's a few of those things where when I think about it, it's less enjoyable. That's why it's better to just let it wash over you.
Yeah.
I said when I'm showing them poetry and they go, yeah, I don't get poetry. I go, yeah, just hear it. Just not even try to feel it. Just relax.
Yeah.
That's better.
Like have it hit you when it hits you, but just read it, just enjoy it.
Just like stay in tune with your five senses and sit there and try to not either shut off, or the opposite of shutting off, where you overanalyze, and it's like shutting off. It's like keeping all of those feelings at bay. So for some people, it's not really possible. Like just be like a meditative experience is much more enjoyable, and that's part of why I like this movie. It felt like there were a lot of Easter eggs in this one. I could be wrong, but there's like it, and you might know. The thing is, I'm only loosely familiar with dude's filmography, but it felt like there were references to things from other movies, or characters that are representative of other ones. And maybe it's just because dude has enough movies. Even the ones I haven't seen, I'm familiar. Like, got a friend with a Totoro tattoo and have seen clips of that for years. So, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not familiar enough with source material. Maybe it's just he has themes and things that he repeats, kind of like you're saying with the little creatures.
Yeah.
But were there, as a Ghibli fan and a Miyazaki fan, are there things you're getting as Easter eggs even deeper than like, oh yeah, it's like a thing that he has done before, where you go, oh, I recognize that character, this setting. We know he does World War II a few times, right? There's characters like the way that either Tarantino might have feet, like that kind of thing, where you go, oh, so Spielberg always has divorce or a reference to it or something like
a family, like a divorce in the family, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Are there things, without over analyzing what the parakeets might represent or whatever, are there things that you got from it and saw more than maybe what a newbie like me might have enjoyed?
I think there's definitely nods to stuff that he's done in the past, but not necessarily Easter eggs. Not, I mean, it's kind of like when you watch Pixar movies, as long as we have, we pick up a lot of things that we're like, oh, they're giving a nod to this, or they're giving a nod to that. I feel like it's a little bit less like that. But definitely there's a lot of similar kind of themes or concepts that he likes to reuse at times, like, in a lot of his movies, there's always a young main person of the story who has to go through challenges in some way, in some form or another. And there's always this lingering doom from something, and that person has to like fight their way out of it or come to realization about something to be at peace, right? So I feel like that's a very common thing in a lot of his stories there. And like I mentioned before, like his inclusion of something cutesy in his movies, like he loves doing that. And the more you watch his stuff, the more you'll pick up, oh, there's a lot of that happens a lot in his movies. So I think it's just like little things like that. I personally didn't catch any one specific thing, but maybe in the second viewing, I might be able to recount something there.
That makes sense. I'm even looking through it, and it's kind of like when you're watching if you're with someone who hasn't seen all the Marvel movies, and the whole audience reacts, and they go, "Wait, what are we reacting to? Who is that guy?"
Yeah.
So I'll do it with you with like the really deep cuts.
Yeah.
I just had that kind of feeling about it. It seems like there's a couple things, but it's not actually chock full of Easter eggs. It's just like there might be something that'll remind you of something else, right? Yeah. Like you were saying with the smaller creatures. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Overall, I'm not asking you to do a full ranking, but where does this rate for you with Miyazaki or Ghibli, however you want to look at it? Is it top tier, middle tier?
That's tough. I mean, you're talking about someone whose library is so vast. When you look at the filmography there, and like I said, everyone reacts differently to a lot of his movies. Yeah. I think for me,
not how to rank in the canon, but just you personally, what was your how much did you love it in relation to his oeuvre?
I would say like it probably, I would probably put it within definitely top 7. I would say probably like top 7, because again, it was like a throwback to me. It was like a return to form for me, and there were a lot of moments of it that did remind me of Howl's Moving Castle again, which is like my favorite. So I think that's one of the reasons why I put it that high up. Where within that 7, I don't know yet, but there are so many movies I know I do like. Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Castle in the Sky. There's so many movies that he's been a part of that I do love, and I think this does kind of fit amongst those that I really enjoy personally. So I would have to say probably like top 7-ish, like that. Also, just to go back on some things that we were talking about, as far as like favorite characters in this movie, I really love the old grandmas, the old like the nannies, and oh my god, and how
they got an awe from the theater. Like people were excited about that,
and how they eventually turned into kind of like his guardians, his kind of like little spirit guardians, as far as like the little wooden dolls that he always had around him that would protect him in this alternate universe or alternate reality. I just thought that was a very cute thing that he did. And I guess that's also like a common thing that he does too. When he does more grounded like stories, he loves putting a lot of emphasis and focus on like these older generational people, like grandparents, aunts, like that. They're always in a way kind of quirky and unique. They have these unique personalities and they're very vibrant. So that is another common thing that he kind of puts in his movies that are more kind of quote unquote grounded in reality, or based in reality. I mean, given for you, since you have seen maybe a small handful of his films, as of right now, would you put this as maybe your top 2, top 3?
Yeah, it's right up there. I think similar to you, I was looking at dude's got 16 full-length features, and that's including or like 15. So you're basically top 50 percentile.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put it right there too. I would have to also rewatch because it's like if I go through all of them, Ponyo on the second, I loved Ponyo, and then on the second watch, I didn't like it as much.
Yeah,
but it is special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's just me. I personally didn't like that movie.
Okay.
I don't. If you loved it, that's great. I mean,
no. You just. I just. It's so funny when I like the things you don't like, and vice versa about the person that you love. I'm like, no, that's the best one, right? And you're like, no, that's my least favorite.
I didn't say that. I didn't say you're wrong. You shouldn't be liking that.
Wind Rises.
I'm not the internet.
And also the other thing is, as a rookie, I would conflate certain Miyazaki with Ghibli. So
right,
Up on Poppy Hill is Ghibli, but not Miyazaki. I guess I'm trying to go through and like digest an entire oeuvre right now. So then, if we're only talking Miyazaki, I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, oh gosh, there's so many. Now that I've seen 2 last night.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's a good amount.
And it's going to be right number 3 or 2 probably. So yeah, definitely up there for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you've definitely seen more than an average person who is maybe somewhat familiar with Ghibli. I feel like American audiences became more familiar with his stuff once Disney started re-releasing his movies here in the States. And there's like so much emphasis being put in like the English voice cast, how they started casting a lot of these like well-known actors and actresses.
Christian Bale playing Howl is just wow. And then Emily Mortimer, Billy Crystal as Calcifer. That one I was like, wait, what? Billy Crystal's been in this movie this whole time. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the English voice cast for The Boy and the Heron is equally nuts. You just mentioned Christian Bale. He's coming back to be a voice in this English cast. You have Dave Bautista, William Dafoe, Gemma Chan, Mark Hamill, Karen Fukuhara, Robert Pattinson, Florence Pugh. I mean,
wow. Is Bautista playing the fascist kingbird? Is that the vibe? Because that's what feels right to me. I don't know.
Who?
The bad kingbird, the evil parakeet. It was given World War II Germany vibes.
Oh, for sure. Are you saying is that Defoe?
No, I'm saying. Oh no, I was thinking Batista, but
Batista.
Defoe's got to be the old man.
Actually, you're right.
Just going based on vibes.
It says the parakeet king is Batista, so you got it. You got it.
Tell me, Defoe is the old man.
The noble pelican.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the noble pelican. The heron himself is Robert Pattinson, the gray heron.
What? I love that. Yeah. That's so weird. Okay.
Cool. Let's see. Yeah, Florence Pugh is Kiriko. I forget which character that is. Mark Hamill is the grand uncle, so the big dude at the end.
Oh wow!
The architect, the creater.
Fascinating. Very similar role to late Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but maybe not as bitter, right? So.
That's so funny.
So it's fascinating.
Rico's the pirate person / mom or aunt. I'm gonna get confused now, but
okay.
Now we're talking about the American reception, though. This is where I'm going to throw it to Oscars. Nominated for animated. One animation nomination.
I feel like every time he comes out with a movie, it gets nominated for. I'm not going to say it may win. I think definitely nomination for sure.
So hold on. I'm looking at his Oscar track record now. The way this is organized, I'm not going to read 8,000 lines of text just to do this. Just show me for the Oscars, please.
Are you looking at Wikipedia or?
Yeah, the question is just how many nominations versus how many wins. Because I also think this is, like you're saying, there's one of those people who will get nominated but not actually win.
Yeah. Even
when everybody else who knows animation or is a fan of cinema is like, no, obviously that's better than Cars 3 or whatever. Which I think the options this year, we'd have to look into it, but there's one that I'm missing. It's definitely, we're looking at Spider-Verse 2.
Yes.
This movie. And then there's one other one that's, I think we talked about, did we talk about, I finally saw TMNT, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Oh, we didn't
movie.
talk about that. No.
We did not. Yeah, that's right. Because I was going out of town right after. Loved it. Thought it was fantastic.
Oh, great.
Very entertaining.
Wasn't it so much fun?
So much fun. I honestly loved it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that on the short list, I guess. But how are you feeling about the odds of this being, especially, we've talked about it, the Oscars do like to give someone the shout out retrospectively. He's already won the Lifetime Achievement, if I recall.
Yes.
Some honorary Oscar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again,
but that kind of messes it up a little bit, where he's gotten his due in some way,
right?
And they might not feel like he's owed. But it is, when you come out of retirement, that's a deal where that'll at least be a narrative for why he might get some love.
Right. And plus the fact that he came out of retirement and did a movie like this that I do feel like a lot of people are going to love. You know, sometimes when people come out of retirement, whatever they do is kind of questionable, or like, okay, maybe he shouldn't have come back, or maybe, okay, you know, not as strong as before, but it's nice to see. But I do feel like a lot of people are going to really enjoy this movie. So nomination for sure. As far as how it compares to the rest of the animated films that came out this year, I think it might have a shot, to be honest with you.
Honestly, it does. I think it does. I'm looking at at least this is Variety.com.
Yeah.
The top 5 they're rating are Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Boy and the Heron, Wish, Elemental, and Nimona. And then after that, which actually this is one it's probably going to win, knowing the Oscars, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Is there another Wallace and Gromit that came out this year? Is that the Chicken Run?
That's definitely going to win. Yeah, for sure. Miyazaki just keeps getting pulled. Super Mario Bros. Movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Robot Dreams, Trolls band together. These are the chips. Variety has it as number 2, with third guess being Spider-Man winning, but no one knows anything right now. There's plenty of time for someone to say something weird at the Golden Globes or who knows what all. It's one of those. I think it's. What's weird is if you're pitting the animation movie lovers of Spider-Man, Spider-Verse versus Boy and the Heron, it's hard to be really mad if those are the top 2 choices. When you get pissed is if those split votes and then Chicken Run comes through. It's like, why is this a thing? Lion King 3.5 or something.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, I've seen the majority of the well-received animated feature films this year. I haven't seen Momoa yet. I've heard nothing but great stuff about it, so I'm definitely going to check it out. It's on Netflix. But for example, like Wish came out this week, and I have no desire to watch that movie. It just looks very cookie cutter, very like plain Jane, and like it just doesn't appeal to me. And I've been hearing a lot of mixed stuff about it, so I don't think, just because it's Disney, I don't know, maybe they will get nominated, but I don't think they have like a shot. For me personally, I do think it's Spider-Man or this. Super Mario Brothers was a huge hit earlier in the year. And I thought it was, decent, but I don't think it for me, it doesn't.
It's like Sonic. I don't feel like people are taking it seriously either, even if it makes a bunch of money. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Good luck. Okay. If you had to vote right now, Boy and the Heron or Spider-Verse, what you got? Oh, man. Yeah, I know. I was hoping you would have a hard time. Yep. Man. Who do you love? You got to choose. You know
what? I would probably. Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hate myself for this.
I'm so glad I asked.
Yeah. I'm gonna probably
You'll
vote
hate yourself either way.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Spider-Man because that emotionally hit me pretty hard. Person. Yeah, I'm a terrible person. Yeah, I hate anime. I hate Studio Ghibli.
You should hate yourself.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is we can look at Oscars through the diversity lens a little too much. Also, sometimes never enough, just because of that's the politics of the Oscars is front and center. Yeah. So I think Spider-Verse has some edge there for good reason. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from it. That's not even like a pity vote or something. Like, it's validly good. I also was like, which do I vote for? The animation style is more innovative. So while Miyazaki is making things that are more traditionally beautiful, sometimes the ones that are more groundbreaking, that'll give them an edge in animation, especially with the craftspeople wanting that.
Yeah.
But when you've got Miyazaki, like, this is kind of one of those, the new upstart, like it's almost like, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James kind of thing.
Right.
Someone was like, really?
It's like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson.
How do you measure it? Because the rules are different, right? Totally different styles, etc. Yeah. But I personally am going Miyazaki. Okay. And I can't give you a great reason why. It's just a gut. So that might be a fun debate in a few months here.
Oh, for sure. I
think, then until we're like, please make me stop answering this question. I've changed my mind 20 times.
I think, like how every year there's like one or two categories that we just can't stop going back and forth on. There's a good possibility this could be that, because... Again, you have two very strong
Blanchett
movies.
Or Michelle Yeoh. Good luck.
Oh, geez. To this day, I'm still like,
I have the nightmare. I forgot to turn my homework, and I also put down Kate Blanchett at the last minute.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, what am I doing?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like none of the two are bad choices. I mean, you could go either way, But it'll be
Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, also equally valid.
Sure.
I haven't seen it yet. Can't wait.
It's one of those movies where we have to kind of watch it just for the Oscar award season and everything. But I might do a where I'm going to wait to see what the nominations are, and if it doesn't make it, I am so not going to want to watch it.
Even if it's nominated, I'm going to listen to a podcast while I'm watching it, just like, and read a book and play video games. Like, this is so background.
Yeah. Yep. Final Letterboxd score for Boy and the Heron.
4.5.
Nice.
It's close. It was close to 5 and it was close to 4, and I just kind of like debated a little bit. The reasons, the little things that I didn't quite love about it, but I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It was special level Miyazaki. I'm going to give it B+ or A- at the end of the day.
Nice.
If you ask me to do tiers, it's between lower first tier to high second tier, top 50%, just like you, more or less. Right. What about you? What'd you give it?
A 5. I gave it the full 5.
Whoa, I was going to guess 4.
No, I gave it the full 5.
This is in your top 7, and all 7 are 5 stars.
I would say half of the 7 are 5. The others are probably 4s, like that.
So then, how is this not top 3, top 4?
But I can't sit down. I can't sit down and tell you like what's what. Yet,
I think you can. I think I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Rain it right now. Take your time.
Do we have another hour for this?
He's got a spreadsheet going. Okay, well, technically there were more new characters introduced, and I like them a lot.
This is where I'm going to splice.
Who'd win in a fight? A heron or Totoro? No. Okay. Yeah. Where there weren't as many moving castles, and I love those.
Yeah. This is where I'm going to splice in the meme of like the guy like with all the equations floating around him, just like thinking about everything. That's going to be me as I try to do that. Maybe in the future I will share what my
final. Give it a hard number right now, Gut, and I'm not quoting you on it. I'm asking you the big calculus. Just say, Gut, this is the ranking.
4.
I gave 4.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's all I need to know. Cool.
Yeah,
and all of the top 4 are going to be 5 stars, basically. Yes. Is that the idea? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You love this guy.
I do. How can you not? Yeah. I mean, especially honestly, like me, who I'm a huge animation fan. Yeah. Awesome. Again, we are curious as to what you think. Did you have a chance to watch this movie? How does it rate for you? What are your rankings for Miyazaki films? Just all that good stuff. Let us know in the comments of the podcast through the email address that we included in the description of this episode. If you're watching a clip out on YouTube, let us know in the comments there. We would love to know what your favorites are, where this ranks. Or if you haven't seen it, what is your hesitation in watching it? Or are you just planning to watch it, just haven't had a chance yet? And are you going to watch the subtitled version, or are you going to watch the English dub cast version?
Best. Every Ghibli movie, I'm Googling that before I watch it when I'm going through my little marathon of like, hey, wait, but who's the cast and what do people really recommend?
Right.
It's usually, the answer is usually subbed always. And then with Ghibli, it's some next level debate. I might actually just let you choose that for me for the rest of the movies. Is your go-to dubbed or subbed on Ghibli?
Sub. Just always sub.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's just something about the Japanese voice actors that it really matches with what you're watching on screen, you know.
I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I think technically, in general, that seems to always the correct answer. Always. My thing is, one, I am ADHD and I'm doing some version of second screen, especially if I tune out a little bit. So the dub helps me with that. I can always follow a movie and do something else at the same time, especially at home, trying to knock something out. Otherwise, I just am less likely to watch it. But then you look at the cast, and as someone who loves movies and wants to see every Christian Bale movie, in theory, if I love it, I'll do both. If I really love one of these movies, I'm going to go watch it a second time in the other version. But Robert Pattinson, Dave Bautista, Willem Dafoe, like what?
I mean, those are some great actors. Incredible. Yeah, Florence Pugh. I mean, you have so much great talent attached to this. Who knows? Maybe if I watch it a second time, maybe I'll go watch the English cast just to experience it, because it will be nice to kind of take a break from reading subtitles. And speaking of like just enjoying the movie for what it's worth, I feel like it'll be easier for me to do so. But at least I will always choose subtitled as the first showing, as the first viewing when it comes to these type of movies. So let us know your preference. Obviously, we would love to hear from you. And again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget, if you're not following us yet on your podcast platform that you're listening us through, definitely follow us, rate us, rank us, leave a comment, shoot us a message in the description of this episode. You'll find the email address where you could do so. And your comment and or question could be featured in a future episode there. Also, if you want to show other ways of support, check out our affiliates and our partners that teamed up with us, some of which I will probably be talking about right now. With internet privacy being such a huge deal these days, it's more important now than ever to protect yourself. With Surfshark VPN, you can easily hide your IP address and encrypt all data that you send and receive. You can easily switch regions to other countries in the world. This means not only your true IP address and identity is masked, it also means that you can get around any annoying geolocation locked video content. You can truly unlock the full potential of your streaming services, and for me that's important since I need to research or catch up on movies that may not always be available in my region. With Surfshark VPN, I can easily switch to any region like the UK, and this problem simply goes away. And now I can watch Hulu content directly on Disney Plus or check out some movies on Netflix that I can't otherwise watch here in the US. I also do a lot of banking and account management online, and by using Surfshark VPN, I feel extremely safe and secure doing so. Surfshark VPN also allows you to connect to unlimited devices simultaneously on a single account, and this includes Windows devices, Linux, Android, iOS, Amazon TV, and much more. To take advantage of the current Black Friday deals that they have, make sure to scan the QR code that you see on the screen now, or click on the link in the description below to secure yourself a great deal that gives you a subscription discount over 80% and up to 5 additional months for free. And if you think it sucks, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, which will give you plenty of time to try out Surfshark VPN risk-free. Remember the good old days? The days of big hair, neon colors, scrunchies, Jinko jeans, and iconic movies and TV shows? At 80stees.com, they know how much you miss the 80s, the 90s, and all of the other E's. That's why they created a collection of the coolest, most iconic t-shirts from those eras. Their t-shirts aren't just nostalgic, they're also high quality, comfortable, and stylish. Whether you're a fan of classic 80s movies like The Breakfast Club or Ghostbusters, or just want to show your love for your favorite 90s TV shows like Friends or Baywatch, they've got you covered. You know what? I do like it when they call me Big Papa, so I'm gonna have to really pick this up right now. SWAT Cats? Wow, who remembers SWAT Cats? And it's not just movies and TV shows, but you can rep the memories of your favorite brands, books, and video games. It's also not just shirts. You can also get all your favorite memories on hoodies, jerseys, and more. At 80stees.com, they understand the power of nostalgia. That's why they created a shopping experience that takes you back to the decades you love. Browse their collection of unique, eye-catching apparel that will make you feel like you're reliving those iconic moments. They've got everything for any season and any type of occasion, so all your gift-giving needs are fully covered here. And if you check the link in the description of this video below, you will find a nice little discount code there for you to use to get some percentage off your order. And they also offer free shipping for orders over $100. That's right, free shipping over $100. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link found in the description to visit 80stees.com today and find your perfect nostalgic fit. Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Make sure to check out the link in the description of this episode or scan the QR code you see on the screen right now and find out how you can get unlimited data for only $15 a month. Save a whole ton of money on your monthly cell phone bill without sacrificing any of the quality. No contracts to worry about. You can cancel anytime, and the transferring process is so easy. You can keep your phone number or get a new one. Need a new phone? They got you covered as well. Over a year ago, I switched from Verizon without any hesitation, and it's not just because I found Ryan Reynolds to be a sexy mother. Shut your mouth. I'm just talking about Mint Mobile, but I guarantee you if you give Mint Mobile a shot, you'll understand why I made that switch, and you too will be a happy Mint Mobile customer. So once again, check out Mint Mobile, link in the description of this episode or QR code on your screen. Check them out. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but before we continue, I wanted to quickly talk about Bulletproof Coffee. Bulletproof Coffee is my favorite coffee of choice to start off my mornings with. Why? Because it's clean coffee. What does that mean? Well, one, there are no chemicals in it. Why? Because they go through this multi-step process of making sure that all of their beans are fully clean and free of any chemicals, so that when you get the beans delivered to you, it is the pure beans, the pure coffee, the goodness that you've been wanting, the taste, the flavor, and the nutritional value as well, without worrying about any added chemicals or anything else put into the mix there. It also doesn't have that weird acidic taste that some coffees give you. I don't know how about you, but for me, some coffees kind of give me that weird sensation in my stomach,
makes me a little burpy, and it kind of drags me down a little bit instead of really waking me up, which is something that I need from my coffee every day. Bulletproof also offers a lot of keto-friendly snacks and supplements, anything that you need to kind of add to your everyday nutritional needs, add to your diet, and pretty much transforms the way you feel every day. So for a limited time, if you use this code that you see on the screen right now, LOWKEY GEEK, all caps, one word, you can get 15% off your order. So what is it better than that, right? Check out the link in the description of this episode. Use this code, get yourself your discount, and make your mornings a little bit more bulletproof with Bulletproof Coffee. Now, back to the episode.
So thank you for checking them out. I mean, right now, depending on when you're listening to this, there's a lot of Black Friday / Cyber Monday deals happening. So a lot of great discounts if you're looking for gifts or just something nice for yourself. And again, as always, whatever you do and however you participate, we will get a nice little small percent of that commission there at no additional cost to you. And that's what helps support this channel, keep it going, and to hopefully get us a brand new mic for Blake to have from his end so that you can enjoy more of his lovely golden voice there. So,
oh yeah.
So let's move on to I don't know if you would call this a controversial movie. I think if you're a history buff, it is going to be kind of controversial for you. And that is Ridley Scott's Napoleon. Napoleon is a movie with Joaquin Phoenix as the main title character there. And Vanessa Kirby as
I'm gonna let you run with this intro.
Sure.
I need to go blow my nose.
No,
and
please go for
also
it.
I'm gonna go to Russia and just try to kill a few
try to
horses.
occupy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby as the main people of emphasis in this movie. And this is Ridley Scott pretty much telling the story of Napoleon ever since the end of the French Revolution and the ousting of good old Marie Antoinette there, and kind of his rise into power and into prominence in France. It's a very interesting portrayal of his story. There was a lot of focus on his love and relationship with Josephine there, played by Vanessa Kirby. Who I personally I love this actress. All of the roles that she's in, I enjoyed thoroughly. I do think she is capable of doing so much more. So that's why it was very interesting to see her in this type of role. Joaquin Phoenix is Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, you expect what you expect from him. And I thought he was going to be a perfect fit for Napoleon just because of the way he kind of handles himself. He could be smug at times, and he knows how to play that part, which is something that is very, I guess, known as far as the personality trait of Napoleon. He also knows how to play a brat. And I felt like that was a major emphasis in this movie, is how Napoleon can be bratty, seen as a mama's boy and kind of weak when it comes to the strong women in his life. I feel like, he portrayed a lot of that stuff. But the one thing I really appreciated a lot about this movie is that they did portray and show a lot of his strategic mindset when it comes to leading the armies of France and the battles that he participated in, which outside of the romance and relationship between Josephine, that was, I think, the secondary thing that Ridley wanted to really focus on. So much so that at the end of the movie, they recapped all the battles that he was involved in and the amount of people that died in each of those battles, which was really fascinating facts to see, as it was just listing it one by one there. So I will say this. When I reacted to the trailer of this movie, I was pleasantly surprised to see how many history buffs were commenting on it and reacting to the trailer. And there was a lot of debate whether or not how accurate it was, how faithful it was going to be to the true history of Napoleon, this and that. My main comment was, why doesn't Joaquin Phoenix have any accent? When you have all these people around him with European style accents, and not necessarily French accents, but they all had accents. And you had this guy that sounds very American, being Napoleon. But I also understand that why bother when you have just someone who can act? Like, don't kind of bog him down by doing an accent that will probably come across as sounding cartoonish or silly or whatever the case is.
He's also speaking English anyway, which is where it's like,
Right.
okay, how true are you? You're going to do a very thick French accent.
Yeah.
And supposedly, too, he had a hard time taking on this role because he was like, I don't know how to play this guy or how to tackle it and make it
Right.
feel real. And I think it's kind of a smart idea, honestly, is like, you're already speaking English.
Mhm.
And then there's the thing like, okay, is everyone supposed to do a British accent when they play someone from another country? Or like, how are we going to do that? Once you got him speaking English, just let the dude cook and do Joaquin, and let him focus more on what he's good at.
Yeah, at the acting,
like,
at
brooding intensity,
yeah,
like all those little subtle emotions in his face, and just being a dude, just being a Napoleon type guy, and conveying that without having to be, because that's what'll kill you in a performance too, is a Brad Pitt trying to do the Austrian accent, and you're just like, what is happening?
Yeah,
it can take you out of the moment, especially if someone's famous, which Joaquin is.
Right. Or another great example I like to bring up is Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, and how at one point it felt like in the movie he was trying to have an English accent and he kind of just let it go. He just let it kind of just like, you know what, forget it. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah, that was stupid. Okay, we already recorded the other. Can we?
Just leave it. Yeah, just
whatever.
Just say, I just got acclimated to my environment or whatever. But or they could have done something like you and I talked about before. It's like, start the movie with them speaking French and then just do that transition into like, oh, we don't need to read subtitles anymore. We're now in their world and we can understand everything that they're saying. That could have been a nice touch. Not necessary, but it would have been a nice touch. Especially for those who are so hell bent on being as historically accurate as possible. For me, I am not 100% familiar at all with his history, with his kind of, things that he was involved in. I know like the little tidbits that I learned in school, or at least I should say that I remember from school. There's a lot of stuff I don't remember. Obviously, everyone knows the whole Waterloo situation, this and that. Him being ousted and being secluded to an island. Like I recall a lot of those things, but I don't know all the intricacies behind it all. So that being said, I thought the movie was enjoyable for what we got. You could tell Ridley just wanted to tell a story about a guy like this, and this is what he was doing. Still trying to stick to some stuff that happened within history, but not necessarily paying so much attention to all the little details that happen and all that. He's even said so in interviews leading up to this movie and now, where it's just like, there are so many historical documents and books and things you could read if you want the pure details of this guy's life. If you're looking for that in my movie, fuck off. He pretty much said something like along those lines, and you can tell when you're watching it. You have Joaquin portraying a Napoleon, like I said, who was very serious at moments, very childlike in other moments, very bratty, very spoiled. Kind of like sometimes when he's not getting what he's getting, he kind of huffs and puffs in his own way, which led to a lot of comedic moments, especially between him and Josephine, that I laughed a lot in this movie that I wasn't expecting I was going to do. So you get a little bit of everything here, but the thing that I appreciated the most was just the portrayals of the battle, the portrayals of the wars that he was involved in, how brutal it was shown too. It reminded me a lot of The Patriot, when Mel Gibson did that, and how like gruesome a lot of that stuff ended up becoming. So it's a lot of those things that I really appreciated seeing. The way the movie ended, I thought was kind of sad in a way, how he was just pretty much, quote unquote, on an island of his own. I guess you could kind of say that was like that's a takeaway from his life with that type of saying and all that. And he just pretty much died in solitude there. I guess those are his kids, the two girls that were playing in front of him. I don't know whose kids those were with, but yeah, how you have this guy who did so much for his country because of the love of his country, what he went through because of the love of his wife, and the love of, I guess, his...
Sorry.
his
That was
his
so sad.
ex-wife. Yeah. Oh my
For the
God,
last time.
that whole thing about just because she couldn't bear a child and an heir.
Yeah. It's
So
like, dude, you're the king. Just say new rule. I can adopt,
right,
and that's
right, yeah.
fine. Let's get
or
rid
I
of this
could
weird
have,
genetic stuff.
or I could have a
The
midwife or
midichlorians
something.
don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. That was really really rough. And again, for him to never let go of that love, still visiting her even after the fact, that was very very sad to see. But yeah, you got a little bit of everything here, and for what it was worth, I mean, I enjoyed it. Was it one of Ridley's greatest movies? No. I mean, was it entertaining? Yeah. Would this be the performance from Joaquin Phoenix I would say is the best of the year? Definitely not. I mean, when you have Beau is Afraid, like that will trump this anytime for me. But for what it was worth, I thought it was okay. But I know it is not meant for those people who are really into or wanting to see that main biopic of Napoleon. I think those people will be very disappointed and will probably be up in arms about it. But what were your thoughts and feelings when you went to see this movie?
I love history. Napoleon's and the French Revolution, while I've like read up on it, it's always been a bit more of a weak spot of mine. So even a couple months ago, I got the Napoleon book on Audible. Then my free trial ran out, but I got some in depth on it. I've always been fascinated by the French Revolution. Since seeing this movie, I think one thing that can be said about both the movies we've talked about today, Miyazaki and this Napoleon movie, I like them a lot. I don't know if they'll have a ton of staying power where they'll always be these movies I think of as like all-time faves.
Yeah.
But both of them, Miyazaki, I'm going back at the old movies, and with Napoleon, I've been binging this Napoleon podcast and just can't get enough. I'm fascinated by it. So I've definitely learned a lot of the context around it. Some basics I knew. There's also something strange when you're doing a true story of how much do you want to stay to the truth. Priscilla was literally ripped every line and scene from the book by Priscilla Presley.
Yeah.
But then also that's Presley's memoir, which isn't necessarily going to be the full picture. And especially when you're talking about Napoleon, he's one of the more controversial figures among historians. Not only like the morality of what he did and the impact, but just like basic facts we don't know about the guy.
Right.
He's kind of untouchable in ways, and he's also so highly criticized and has been in real time. There's some things where I was going back on the history of it, going, oh my gosh, everything that the dude changed everything. This is one of those indisputable facts. A lot of dead bodies, good at strategy, and the politics of the world are very, very different afterward. Just how countries are run, how wars are fought. I do like that early on they set up some of these facts just right off the bat. This is a powerful person who's good at getting and maintaining power, and he's got a good mind for strategy on a battlefield. These are undisputed facts. Then the question is, what else do you focus on in the biopic? Do you want to do the birth to death version of the movie? That usually doesn't work very well. Do you want to add in things that feel true and make the story better, but might not actually be true? Whose version do you go off of? And even in the historical podcasts, the question is like, how tall is he? And the guesses range by like half a foot or more. And it's like one of the most famous dudes in history. And some people are like, definitely 5'2". Other people are like saying 5'7", 5'8". Like, nobody knows how tall the dude was. And now we're asking like, okay, what did he say to Josephine at dinner? Right. And then you can go with some vibe things like that. Definitely doesn't feel like when he slaps her. Some historians are saying that definitely doesn't seem like something he would have ever done. And there's no account of it. And that did not happen. Also not true to character. Drama. It's a hell of a moment when he slaps the love of his life in front of everyone. Right. When he's grabbing the crown and putting on his head, to me, that is like one of the most powerful moments of the movie. There's all these little different accounts. And then there's this weird thing in history where if no one mentions it, do you assume it didn't happen, or maybe it did anyway? And so we can assume that if someone meets Napoleon and he is freakishly short, and this is like the most powerful dude ever, they might definitely mention that if they're giving a unbiased take. Yeah. And then, you know, if you're a French writer, you might be like, I don't want him to be mad at me because I want to get another interview, so I won't say the mean thing that everyone's thinking. But if you have the unbiased account and the person is on the other team, and it would almost be good for them to say, yeah, dude is super short, everyone. We can laugh at him or whatever. And they don't. Maybe dude isn't freakishly short. Another just like throwing it in there. Dude was always surrounded by his guards who there was a minimum height requirement of 6 feet.
Right,
So when you ask about the point guard in the basketball team, you're like, yeah, dude's short. He's probably what, 5'3"? And you're like, oh my God, he's 6'5"? It's just because he's surrounded by 7'2" dudes. Okay. That's like, this is probably the most realistic, at least all the deep diving I've done. So
dude, I have to say before you continue, like everything you were just saying right now that you picked up from listening to your podcast and all that, go to the comments section of my trailer reaction, and that was the conversation all of these people were having and the back and forth, because like in the reaction I said, oh, I wonder if they're gonna go off of anything about his height. I wonder if they're gonna touch anything about his height. And then people were commenting saying, oh, he wasn't really that short. It's just maybe compared to the average height of the time, maybe he was a little shorter than that. And then, oh my gosh, the back and forth, the discourse just behind that little fact was so fascinating to me, But I do love the fact that in the movie, they didn't really address it. They just kind of just like let it go, right, in a way. Like I don't recall them mentioning anything about it. And Joaquin himself didn't look like he was shorter than everyone else. So, I mean, I like the fact that it's like, you know what? Is this important or, let's just let it go.
Yeah. And next to Vanessa Kirby, he's actually shorter than her, but she's also an incredibly tall.
Right.
But and I'll go back to what you were saying. Incredible performance from her. She is so good at these like women tortured by family circumstances. I love you, but I'm going to be mean to you. And I'm going to laugh snarkily, but I'm heartbroken. Just the levels that she was working with were incredible.
Yeah.
Someone, I think it was, I'm going to just go and say it was Pop Culture Happy Hours podcast of Napoleon. Someone had the idea and they're like, I wanted it to be a weirder movie. And I felt similarly.
Like a Baz Luhrmann-like movie?
Or like The Favorite, like the Lanthimos movie, which just has some vibes of it when there's like just a weird dinner scene or something. When they talked about the movie they suggested, they're like, okay, well, what would you do? Do you want more Josephine, less Josephine? Their idea, I'm just going to say it out loud because it made me happy. Do only Napoleon and Josephine, the drama, the heartbreak, the back and forth, and then show throughout the movie or at the end how many dead? Because there's a version of Napoleon's life which historians have deep dived on, which is, okay, she's withholding sex at this moment and dude goes to battle the next day. Okay. Very happy, and so he makes a treaty or whatever. And there's a version where like Josephine is the most powerful person in history. But what's weird is like that in the great man of history theory, part of what's silly about it is, sure, a great man of history, except he's very, very much in love, and his entire mood is completely dictated by, did she give me a kiss goodbye this morning?
Or did she give me some or whatever?
Yeah, all of that. And like, this like on some Liz Estrada shit, like the most powerful person ever is actually not Napoleon. It is 100% Josephine.
Right.
And then there's a real life example recently, which I read. Don't fact check me on this. Don't come in the comments. Just I'm going to throw it out there. After the Monica Lewinsky scandal, the story from the advisor in the White House was Hillary Clinton didn't talk to Bill Clinton for a long time until she wanted him to go to war with someone.
Right.
She calls, like she's ignoring him, calls him and says, hey, can we go to war with these people? And the next day there's bombs on the ground. He's like,
sure thing,
finally, you called me. Yeah, whatever you need. Just talk to me. Call me again tomorrow. Give me a little thank you kiss.
Yeah. Can I sleep with you again?
Seriously. Like, it's so real that these are, and which is one thing I did like about this movie is we can look at it in the context of biopics, but also a lot of movies now doing a piss take on the great man of history thing.
Sure.
And not saying that they were actually weaklings or that it's all a big lie or myth, but like the movie Maestro's coming out.
Yeah.
That's a good example of this. There's this movie. We talked about another one. Like it's been a running theme lately. Priscilla in a way is an example of that. I am enjoying this where we're not just doing the like, why was Napoleon the best guy ever movie? Awesome war scene, but instead like, okay, let's really dissect what was happening in the psychology of this person and the relationships, the power dynamics. Part of what's difficult about a Napoleon movie is there's too much unknowns, and you could do one battle as an entire movie
Right.
And I really like the first battle where they're taking over that fort. That was brilliant. And they're showing this dude's got a great strategic mind. I think what I genuinely wish this had been, especially since it was an Apple movie and super expensive.
Yeah.
And there's the thing with Ridley Scott having the director's cut, which is going to be supposedly like 4+
5
hours. Or something.
Yeah. Crazy.
Make it a mini series and go all in. Do the damn thing all out. I bet your Apple subscription, Apple TV Plus, whatever subscriptions are going to go up with that one.
Yeah.
Sell some more iPhones, get your money back. That's what I want, because this kind of felt like I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 4.5, maybe 4 stars on Letterboxd. I'd have to check. I love the Josephine of it all. I like the war scenes. They weren't glorifying it necessarily. They were showing this guy's kind of a weirdo, kind of a piece of shit, but very effective. And I feel like they did a good job touching on enough things to where it felt like a complete story, but also it wasn't enough of anything at the same time. And I can't imagine anyone leaves purely satisfied. It's going to kind of rub everyone the wrong way a little bit. You love the history. You wanted more romance. You wanted more war. Too much. The sex scenes are kind of weird sometimes, which I find it sound either funny or appealing. Just a little bit of Saltburn going on sprinkled throughout.
Real quick, which was the better sex scene? The Napoleon and Josephine, or Adam Driver and Lady Gaga in House of Gucci?
I'm gonna ask, of all of them, the one where he's like, "You're in the king's bed tonight, baby. You can sleep here."
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, relax. Take your hat off.
They're
You're
like
going
little
to sleep
kids
afterward.
Yeah.
Yep. His hat just bonking everything. I loved it.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott's this and House of Gucci are interesting because they're both silly, kind of like, is this a comedy?
Right.
But grand sweeping takes on these huge, powerful families. I just talked about that movie a lot. We could go into it more, but I think that says something about what the movie is. It's a lot, and the sum of its parts. It's kind of like a Thanksgiving meal in a way of just like, you're okay. I'm going to fill my plate up with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little sweet, a little savory, a little comedy, a little bit of like
little different courses,
tragic romance drama. Yeah. And I felt full at the end, but I also didn't really get enough of any one thing. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those movies where when I left, I was like, okay, it's a movie, and again, I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was something that I would remember a week from now or 2 weeks from now. Now, knowing that we are going to get an extended cut, hopefully, and it's going to be that much longer, I'm intrigued to see how that's going to turn out, because I want to see what is going to be included that he didn't include in the theatrical run, right? So I do feel like there were a lot of moments that could have been expanded on, and more detailed and all that. But again, for what we got, I mean, the relationship between the two, I thought the chemistry was pretty good. I thought, again, they're very childlike. They're like little kids when they're together. But I do love the fact that even before their relationship really started, she was basically hanging that thing above him, where it's like, the minute you look at this thing, as she spread her legs open, you're never going to be without it. You're going to always want it, and how that kind of plays a part in his life, right? So it's like the women with the most powerful vajayjay ever, and how it dictated one man's rule of a country. But yeah, I don't know. It's when you compare it to other biopic like movies, like Maestro, Priscilla. I definitely will say it doesn't rank as high as those for me personally. But there was a lot of things I did like about this movie. Like, for example, I thought the cinematography was very good in this movie, especially for a Ridley Scott film. How when the movie started, he immediately puts you into the whole madness of the ousting of Marie Antoinette. And that was fascinating, just watching that. And everything's in slow motion. It's like that scene in like Game of Thrones, the whole shaming scene. It's very similar to that for me.
Lettuce in the hair while they're putting her head into the guillotine.
Oh my gosh. And very how brutal again that was, brutal. And
then the next scene is, I'm in the history of it, but I'm also lost with all the characters. But basically, a guy giving a speech and then getting the shit beat out of him. He's running away from people, and then he tries to shoot himself.
He tries to shoot himself. Yeah.
Brutal.
Oh yeah. It was crazy.
bad.
It was crazy.
But that's also like they throw us in the chaos, and then they show Napoleon some power machinations, and then him overtaking that fort. I think that was kind of smart. One of the stories is this dude loved order. In a way, he's the pro-democracy, but in some ways he wants to consolidate power and have order. And I kind of wish they'd shown more of that. There's a version where dude's just like hardcore OCD. He's like, okay, people keep yelling on the street. I need that to stop. So I'll take over if no one's going to do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. There's again, with this movie, there are a million angles they could have gone and didn't go. But they did do a good job, at least, of the intensity of some of these moments. Just like some pointillism, like, hey, we're going to jump into this scene, this battle, and the intensity was there. Whoever's in charge of the entrails of the horses did a great job in this movie. Give that person a raise.
That was so nuts and bizarre. That was like
one of the insides of horses being on the outside.
Holy
and it
cow.
felt real. I've never been in that moment, but I bet that's exactly what it would be like.
It was like one of those surprise out of nowhere moments where all of a sudden he's about to like ride into battle and then plow, like freaking cannonball right into the belly of his horse as he's like flung over. I was like,
don't you hate it when that happens too?
Oh my gosh.
Mondays.
Worst case scenario. Come on. Like, that's one of those things you don't plan for. But yeah, it's so interesting in this movie because we can talk so much about it, but at the same time there's not much to talk about it. It's like a weird situation like that.
Let's go with what the reception will be. I don't know box office. I'm kind of curious about that. If this I could see this getting a lot of Thanksgiving and holidays, but also it's kind of a great date movie where you got the romance and the military thing, but also it's kind of not. It's kind of a family movie, and it's definitely not. It's weird. It's like I could see this being a bomb, and yet people who like it are all like, yeah, I would recommend it, sure, but wait till the right day and the right group of, and like it just doesn't really pan out. I'm not sure. I am curious on award stuff. Do you think this gets? I think if it's a box office, if it's floppy at the box office, it might get basically jack shit. Maybe Vanessa Kirby. I feel pretty good about that right now. Maybe. But I think what's funny about it is it might be one of those. It helps Joaquin get nominated, but not for this movie.
Not for this
movie.
When
you have two big ass performances. It helps you a lot with that Best Actor. I think he gets nominated for Beau is Afraid as of now, and maybe for neither, because especially if this one flops. Like, hey, cool, you lost a lot of money doing a good job. Sorry, don't know what that's about. But do you have a sense of box office stuff and what this might get nominated for? Maybe sound. I could see that kind of like a couple special effects vibes.
I think maybe cinematography. I think you could make an argument that cinematography they might get nominated for that. They could also go the kind of cop out route of costume because it is a period piece, and
good
it
hat
is
work. Great, the hat.
Great,
like
great hat work. Yeah. I love the
hat stuff.
Yeah, the pantaloons was really nicely handled throughout the entire movie.
I honestly did. That was one of the enjoyable things because I like fashion. I like of history. I like. Oh yeah, these people are wearing wigs. Why? What's going on with that? They did. I felt like that. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but I felt like it was at least there was some entertainment drive from that stuff, and it felt good.
Yeah. No, I think I wouldn't be surprised.
The what do they call it? Bangs or whatever, the little Napoleon bangs. Did not look right on him, but if it's part of Napoleon, also looked a little funny.
Right. I won't be surprised if they get recognized within categories like cinematography and costume like that. As far as I don't think Ridley is going to get nominated directing for this. I don't think any kind of screenplay nominations for this at all.
Yeah, maybe nothing above the line. Maybe an actress or something.
If Vanessa Kirby gets nominated for this, I'm not going to say I'll be surprised. I would just be happy for her because I think she's one of those actresses. And it's funny, while you were talking, I wanted to see what other movies she's done outside of like Mission Impossible and stuff like that. And she hasn't really done much, to be honest with you. Like, she's done a lot of like those small rom-com like movies.
Pieces of a Woman is the main one in my mind, where she had, and I think she got nominated for that. I could be wrong. I'd have to double check, but it's a similar performance in some ways because there's a problem with the pregnancy, and she's having to play this very distraught woman. That is one of the most powerful performances of that kind it's like top tier. Give it to Cate Blanchett or her. It's like on that level. But you're right. There's also not a ton of movies that a lot of people have seen.
Right.
The Crown is, I think, the other one that a lot of people would know her from.
That's right.
Where she had a main role in the first couple seasons.
You're right.
And sometimes someone will get sucked into the TV world. She did get nominated for the Academy Award for Pieces of a Woman, but that was a 2020 movie. So that was also a weird Oscar year that people weren't the competition was strange that year. Hobbs and Shaw.
I don't even remember her role in that movie. Like I couldn't tell you.
Also, I'm confusing her with someone from Avengers, one of the Golden People, but it looks like that's not her. Do you know
that is not her? That's Debicki. That is Elizabeth Debicki.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I've actually just been a couple roles where I was like, no, she's been in a lot, and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, wait, no, I got.
Who's funny? Which is funny that you say that because Vanessa Kirby was in the earlier seasons of The Crown. Elizabeth Debicki is in the last couple of seasons of The Crown. So you have that. There you go. Nice little.
Yeah, I'm so
trivia.
sorry for getting these two people who have very similar accents and careers confused and similar levels of fame and definitely maybe look alike. I don't know. Maybe. It's
I think basically what we're trying to say is we would love to see her do more stuff. You know, because she definitely has that powerhouse acting chops. You know, that she could be like another Cate Blanchett. She could be. You know, she has a potential to be. There are talks that she might be cast to be in Fantastic Four as Invisible Woman, which could be good for her money-wise, but I don't know what that's going to mean career-wise for her. Who knows? I hope she just doesn't get caught up in that whole superhero madness and everything, and then just doesn't...
Give me a Cate Blanchett career. We can't get enough of that, please. That would be fun. I think she can hang, at least from this role and Pieces of a Woman, can definitely do that level of high drama. But funny, too. I was surprised by how funny this movie was. I think that's understated, and you're not going to get that vibe from the trailer.
No,
I laughed a bunch, or it was that kind of like awkward laughter of like, okay, this dinner scene is painful, but he's throwing a lamb chop at her at some point. It's awkward and painful to watch, but it's also like that's so absurd.
But it's so comical. It's like again, it's like kids. It's like you're watching spoiled kids, you know, who are like bickering back and forth.
I want an heir. No.
Right, like, why can't you get pregnant? Because I can't.
Going, oh, well, you got chubby. You're like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, you're fat.
Not in front of the guests. Wait until the nobility goes home, at least.
Yeah, it's like watching an episode of like Married with Children, and you're just seeing like the two parents going at each other. But it's so funny, like when those moments were playing out, my theater was laughing at the same moments I was laughing at. So
or the sex scene where he's making animal noises, I cracked up
as he's power drilling her.
So ridiculous. That was some good Joaquin Phoenix for sure.
That's why he's so good.
Man.
Yeah, that's why
it's so absurd and funny, and the human psyche. He's able to go to that weird place that people like, and he does it. I think in like his Oscar speech, people were like, "Wait, this is so weird."
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be doing this right now? And I'm sure this guy was like, what the fuck was that? No, I'm leaving it. That was good.
Yeah.
With the, supposedly when they shoot the pyramid with the cannon, which did not happen. But I was jaw dropped like, oh my gosh, dude just shot the pyramid?
He just shot that damn pyramid. Yeah, to kind of like force him out.
Yeah. Apparently the story is Ridley Scott mentioned it or someone mentioned it as a possibility. People laughed like, oh, that's ridiculous. And then he kept it in. They go, wait, we're keeping that in? I thought that was a joke. He goes, well, you laughed. Dude's definitely doing some weird level of historical comedy right now. Just kind of, I think he's having a good time.
I think he's
like,
just
Apple gave me a couple $100 million for this. LOL, let's shoot something sacred. I don't know.
Yeah,
weird.
he's just having fun with it. That's why I titled my out of theater reaction Ridley Scott says F history. It's just like, you know, because I feel like he's just doing his thing. You know, I think he's at that age where he's just like, fuck it. I want to tell this story the way I want to tell it. I'm not trying to be accurate here. I mean, I just want to portray this type of story. And if you find it entertaining, awesome. If not, F you. I'm still going to do this, right? So.
And then Napoleon got lunch with Jimmy Carter and Jesus, and he kissed him each on the cheek, and he said, I want an ew.
I'm gonna do. And he died on an island with Tupac and Elvis, and there you go.
Exactly. That's the movie. That's how I
Oh
thought it was
man,
going to end.
it should have ended that way. What was your final letterbox rating on this?
I think I even if I gave it 4.5, which I was feeling better about it until I've thought about it more and learned more, but I'm going to say 4 at the end of the day.
Okay,
is where it's landing. I feel good
okay.
about that, and that's a little higher than but I enjoyed it too. I entertained me, and I'm gonna give you at least 3.5, if not higher. So I felt like it was good, and there's enough good about it, even if it's not going to be top of the year ranking.
Right. Yeah. I didn't feel like it was a slog to watch this movie. Like I felt like it was a decent movie. I gave it a 3 out of 5. But I did heart it. I liked it because again, I there were parts of it that I really enjoyed. You know, the performances by the two, the battle scenes I thought was great. The cinematography I thought was awesome. But it is one of those movies that if this is all we got, then a month from now, I'm not going to be thinking about this movie. And I don't think I'll ever find myself revisiting it. Now, give me the 5-hour director's cut on Apple. That I will definitely check out because I'm just curious what Ridley has to include at this point.
Yeah. Honestly, I normally am not loving that idea, but with this movie, I want that miniseries. If I can't get that, give me a 10-hour cut. I don't care. I'll break it up into little chunks.
Yeah, I agree with you. He should have thought of that, making this like a mini series, making it like one of those like back in the day, like Shogun type miniseries, you know, kind of like daily drops. It
contradict itself. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know?
Just like, okay, this time he's tall, this time he's short, this time this happened, this time he doesn't shoot. Like, I don't care. I just want, that's one of the things I'm liking about the Napoleon podcast I'm listening to is just like, it's just like chunks of what life was like back then and how things became what they were. And okay, this source says this source says that. That's about the best you can do. And I just more of any one thing. And if you're not going to do a dense movie that's just Josephine and Napoleon or just the first few years or just this battle, give me all of it if you're going to give me the appetizer sampler. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, those are our thoughts on Napoleon, the latest movie from Ridley Scott. What are your thoughts on this movie? I'm curious if you're listening to this and you actually seen the movie, or if you've been on the fence and watching this movie. Definitely let us know through any of the means we mentioned, through comments, through the email address. You know, just we're definitely very curious to know if this is a movie you want to see. And if you are planning to see it because you're looking for historical accuracies, we are definitely interested to hear your take on what you thought of it after you've seen it. So definitely let us know your thoughts and feelings about this movie as a whole. And Ridley Scott, I mean, this is the director that's been around forever. Like, what are some of your favorite Ridley Scott movies? I mean, talk about filmography. This guy, I mean, we're going back now. So, and that might be one of those things we could do in the future and kind of do like a retrospective on his career because that's a lot of movie right there. That's a lot of film. So,
and all over the place too.
Oh yeah. He doesn't stick to one particular genre. This guy loves to dive into many different things. So definitely would love to hear some of your choices on top Ridley Scott films in your opinion. But with that being said, this has been this week's episode of Movie Time. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We appreciate you all. Before we head on out, Blake, where can people find you online?
We're talking about Letterboxd. Go there. Find me. Screen name is Last Name Wolf.
Nice. Letterboxd. We are approaching December, hence why I'm wearing my ugly sweater, my Christmas ugly sweater, one of many that I own. So we are definitely going to be doing an episode dedicated to the Christmas list that Blake has on his Letterboxd account there. So if you want a sneak preview of what we could be talking about, definitely check him out there on Letterboxd. And you could check out the LOWKEY GEEK on Letterboxd as well. Either Letterboxd, Twix, Instagram, YouTube. Again, we will have clip outs from episodes of this podcast there, and you'll see other stuff that I do on that channel, whether it's reviews, recaps, watch alongs, reactions, all that stuff like that. So it'll be great if you could show your love and appreciation by subscribing to the channel. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, follow, rate, comment on this podcast channel here on the podcast platform that you're listening this on. greatly appreciate all your support, and thank you so much for watching and tuning in. All that out of the way, like I said, this has been Movie Time. I'm Renee. That's Blake. We will catch you next week. Until then, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Peace out, y'all. Enjoy your holiday weekends, weeks, whatever the case is. Catch you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.